Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run the game, spitting with a little bit of soul, no times.
Welcome to the Please Remain Calm podcast. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I'm Daniel Gonzalez.
All right. And we're doing a little hot shit current events episode
hot
today.
Takes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We I guess usually do these episodes where it's going to be like a story revolving around our guest, and it doesn't really have to be like plugged into a timeline or anything. And sometimes we drop it like we do like 2 or 3 weeks before we release it.
Yeah.
So we're not really too current eventsy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
Usually
I mean?
when you guys are hearing an episode, we recorded it 2 or 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
This one, it's going to be out in 2 days, right? So
yeah, it'll be out Monday.
yeah. Lot going on, man. A lot going on.
LA's hot right now.
It's hot and
Heat
not
in the streets.
and not summer hot. You know what I mean?
We have addressed the homelessness issue in Los Angeles in past episodes. We did a whole episode pretty much devoted to it. We had Bruno in here.
Yeah.
Enlightening and interesting. As we have touched on in the past, Danny has had extensive hands-on experience in the most homelessy areas that you can work in LA, Skid Row, as well as Venice.
Yeah, man. Anytime this subject comes up in conversation anywhere, you know what I mean? I feel like obviously I'm not, I don't have a PhD in, anthropology. I don't like study, civilization and shit.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is my experience, and just right off the bat, everything said here are our opinions, right? Yeah. They do not reflect the opinions of the LAFD or the LA County Department of Health Services. Let's really get that out right now out in front.
Flying off the rails here, people.
But
working without a net.
But I have worked for almost my entire career in the number 1 or number 2 heaviest homeless population areas in the city of Los Angeles.
Yes, and when we're talking about homeless encampments, I think people will think of just a few tents on a corner or under a freeway or something, and people don't grasp, if they're not here seeing it in LA, they don't grasp the extent to how it's like little cities.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And
with their own little systems even.
Well, not only that, man, and we'll get into it a little bit because we're not just going to talk about homelessness, but it's a big part of what happened last night that kind of sparked this conversation between us. Is that other states might not have the same issues that we're having here. And there's a reason for that.
Break it down.
There's a reason for that. Okay. You hear that a lot, man. And obviously I'm way left leaning. Okay. But I am in a conservative world. We've talked about that in the past.
Yes.
We're both left leaning.
Yes.
And when you get into these conversations and back and forth with people from the right or who are right leaning, you always hear that, or people that come from other states or work in other states or whatever. California, man. Oh yeah, I want to go live in California and be around all the homeless. Blah blah blah. This shit. It's like California did not create this homeless situation that we have here. We didn't create that.
Right.
The problem that California has is that California has heart and compassion for the homeless. Mm-hmm. The other thing we have that not going for us is our weather. We have fucking great weather, man.
Exactly.
So if you were to take a stroll down the Venice Boardwalk right now, which used to be which still is, but used to be a great tourist attraction. You go and see all the little freaky people walking around. You'd smell the ganja from the Rastas that were walking by. Right. The skaters in the skate park, graffiti everywhere.
It's our home.
World famous Venice Boardwalk, right? If you walk down the boardwalk now, man, it is shocking how disgusting the boardwalk is right now. It's shocking, dude. The tents line the entire boardwalk. Mm-hmm. The drug use and just the sheer amount of homelessness that's on the boardwalk. I mean,
the same can be said about Venice Boulevard.
In all honesty, walking down the street, it doesn't feel safe walking down the boardwalk. Okay.
Right.
I wouldn't take my kids. I wouldn't take the boys there anymore. We used to go there all the time just to go ride bikes and hang out. I wouldn't take them right now. Okay. I wouldn't even take them to ride bikes on the bike path right now. You know how many people I've had just assaulted for no reason because jackhole right here was high on meth and just decided to walk up and sock somebody on the bike path?
No.
That happens all the time in Venice, right? So if you took a walk down the Venice Boardwalk and asked each homeless person in their tent, hey, where are you from originally? None of them are from LA, man. None of them are from LA. Okay. And if you think about it, if I'm homeless and I'm in Wisconsin, okay, and I'm living on the street and I get busted with a dub sack of weed in my pocket or something like that, right?
Listen to you, dub sack.
Dub sack, right?
All right. Take it back. A Vindo.
If I got a dub sack of Indo in my pocket, right? And I get busted and I go to court and they say, hey, do you want to go to jail for the week for this possession charge, or do you want this Greyhound bus ticket to California? Which one are you going to pick, man?
They take it. And this happens over and over. This isn't just like a conspiracy theory. You can verify it by talking to people that are in the street.
There's multiple reasons that they're going to take that, man. Number one, you don't want to get in trouble. Nobody wants to get in trouble. Yeah. Number two, if you're homeless in that town, fuck that town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you're probably the homeless guy of that town. Like, they don't have homeless people.
Exactly,
that's
man.
because that's what they do. They send them out.
And who gives a shit if you leave? What's the difference? Homeless? You're going to send me to California where there's no snow? And there's a whole other new opportunity, places to visit and people to meet. On top of that state has heart and tries to supply shelter. And there's people all over the place that are supplying food. And I can go to the beach and just be at the beach and hang out with cool beach bums all day.
That's how it seems.
Hell yeah, I'll jump on that.
And they come to LA and San Francisco because that's where there's more money. And it's just, I guess, a better place to be homeless.
Exactly. So now we have the issue, right? And whose pocket does that fall on? It falls into the California taxpayers' pocket because we're supplying everything for these people who aren't native Californians. So we're importing the problem base. I take that back. Other states are exporting that problem, and the problem's winding up here. The other issue with that is you get these encampments, just like you were talking about, right? Well, why don't they just tell these people they can't be on the sidewalk? Why not? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
There's a reason
for that. It has
for
gone to court, folks.
Used to be they just went down the street with a dump truck and a little freaking cherry picker, and they'd scoop everything into that thing and dump it and they cleaned up the streets. They did that to Skid Row when I was there at Nines. Okay, cleaning up the streets like that. The ACLU sued, okay, and said what you cannot tell people. Basically, the courts agreed with them that you cannot tell people that they can't build a shelter for themselves if you can't supply them with shelter.
Yeah.
Right.
If there's nowhere to go, where are they going to go, basically?
Exactly.
Which makes sense.
They have to be able to shelter from the elements. Okay. Mm-hmm. That is why you drive down through downtown. You see nothing but
urban camping.
You see nothing but tents lining the streets downtown. Okay. It's the same thing with Venice. It's the same thing with 3rd Street in Venice, right behind Gold's Gym.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing in
Hollywood.
In the Valley. I mean, the Valley's terrible right now. It's all over the place. Okay.
And those are the places where they can be kind of herded into and concentrated into.
Exactly.
Because the same way they get cleared out of other cities, or I mean, these people, homeless people, houseless people, same way they get cleared out of other cities and states, they get cleared out of other cities around LA.
Correct.
And shuttled into the places where you see all the homeless people.
Yes. Not only that, but they'll migrate to areas where they know they're kinder to the homeless, right? Where they have more services, when they're not going to be harassed more.
Where you get fucked with.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. So that
takes us to last night.
Yeah, because it's not an accident. So as a result, you have all these areas around LA where there's big encampments. One of the ones that I would think would be a good one too is Echo Park. That's probably some good homeless real estate.
Yes.
If you can pitch a tent there. And make it in there.
And the park is there. It's a beautiful park. There's a nice lake
cool
there.
Cool neighborhood.
Yeah. I'm sure people are somewhat understanding there and all that stuff. Okay.
As we could see last night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All that being said, okay, I'm sure there's some fine people that just happen to be in a tough situation and are homeless in a lot of these encampments, okay? Mm-hmm. All that being said, a lot of them are not. Okay, a lot of the people that are in this encampment are not. A lot of the people that are in these homeless encampments are there because they want to be there.
Right.
They enjoy being in that situation. They enjoy getting high. They enjoy having no rules, not having to answer anybody, and being able to be in their tent, not be bothered in the woods right there. Therein lies the problem. If you have an area where it's not meant to be an area that people are living and camping, okay? And I don't know if activists or people that see this stuff on the news think that this is just like a campsite where they have trash cans laying around and people pick up after themselves and they're cooking marshmallows on the campfire at night and they're washing their clothes in the lake. You know,
this is just a park that has a lake, like any park you have in your town that has a lake and. You know,
and the majority
grass.
And the majority of the people that choose to live in that situation, okay, it's not a situation that I would want happening outside of my front door. Okay,
that's how we are in LA,
and that's been replicated all over the place in Southern California. Obviously, I can't talk for other areas. I can talk about what's happening down here. Okay, I know
Echo Park is unique. Even within LA, for how this situation that happened last night was primed to come to a head.
So talk about that,
because the people who do live in Echo Park, there's rich people, that think that's prime real estate for themselves, who are probably the ones that are leading the charge to clear out the park, and then there's the people who rent there that don't own. Maybe they do own too. I mean, right. I can't sweep them all with the same brush, but they don't want to clear out the park. They have compassion for the people that live there, and they also have a legitimate gripe that why can't you find places for them to live?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And therein lies the rub.
Right.
Okay.
And it can happen the same thing can kind of happen all over LA, but the way Echo Park's laid out, it's primed for how it went down last night.
So there's two things to talk about here. There's a fork in the conversation here, and I'm going to pick one and go down, and we'll come back to the other later.
Let's do it.
We'll stick with homelessness since we started talking about that right now, because I got into something with a pretty popular activist Instagram page last night that I want to get into about the LAPD, and something that seems like it went a bit viral last night. So I'm hoping that some of you listening will have seen it and will know what we're talking about. But
social media beef breakdown
with as far as homelessness, okay, I'll take it a step further. This problem, this issue that we have here in Southern California, it's not a problem that California needs to deal with. It's a national problem. Okay?
Oh, for sure.
It's a national problem for the exact reason that I talked about earlier. Different states essentially shipping their homeless issue to one of the coasts, and more often than not, it's the West Coast, it's California,
right?
Because New York's even it's more enticing to come to the West Coast than the East Coast if you're homeless. Okay?
But every
or if you're
big
unhoused.
city is dealing with its own homelessness issue, but we have a intense one compared to anywhere else in the country.
And I don't know what better way to say this than it's not fair to allow one state to bear the brunt of this problem that is a national problem. Okay?
Of course not.
And the way to solve the problem is to make it a national problem. Make it a problem and find the solution at a federal level, right? Give every state funding, homeless funding.
Yeah.
Okay? And depending on what the needs are in that state, if it's a cold winter state, a snowy winter state, if it gets extra hot and in Texas or something like that in the summer times, you need to give these states the money so that they can have the proper facilities to provide for these people.
As studies have already shown, it's actually much more cost effective to help people with housing and supportive care than to continue to jail them or put them in the hospital over and over.
Not only that, a rising tide raises all ships, man. You know what I mean? Like you are going to elevate the quality of life for everybody.
And the people who can wind up contributing instead of being a drain.
So that's another thing, right? We've talked about hope in the past. We've talked about how important hope is and how important it is to be able to see light at the end of the tunnel when you're going through a tough time in life.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if I've talked about it here, but in other countries where you have a more like democratic socialist government, when you have issues with homelessness, right? The way they're set up, Denmark, for example, you go homeless, man, You know, you notify the government that you're homeless. The first thing they do is supply you shelter. They give you basically an apartment to stay in. Okay, so that stress of oh shit, I'm not gonna have some place to live, blah blah, is taken care of. Then you have a meeting with the counselor, and they figure out what caused you to be homeless.
Yeah, get you back on your feet.
What's going on here? What caused you to be homeless? Is it financial? Is it mental health? Is it just a tough spot where you got an injury? And what is it? Yeah. It's not medical bills because they have universal health care, you know?
And this is just an example of where it mostly works, like something that works.
Right.
Here, the same thing might not always work for everybody, but at least it's something.
It's something, and it's a system that's designed for you to be able to fall in wherever you fall in the despair chart, you know, and jump in and get help from that point on.
Yeah.
But we have nothing here.
Right. And that's the thing too, is like there are resources and there's enough money available to have the same thing here. It's just not set up.
It's not set up.
Yeah.
And you'll hear the argument, well, you know, how many people are in Denmark, or, you know, well, it doesn't fucking matter, man. Everything is scaled up.
And that's granted, dude, this place is more fucked up too. Like people have worse problems here than they have there. All right. It's just different. You know what I mean? But that's the other thing too. Like, it's not going to be made a national problem because that's another way to, you know, divide the citizens. That's part of the red states, blue states thing. Red states don't have homeless people. It goes out on the blue states.
Exactly.
We have the big cities. You know what I mean?
Because by design, everything is designed to make us fight and argue. I mean, everything is. All the news you watch it's designed to do that. The left and the right. You know, you can't watch CNN without getting a smirk and a giggle and a wink when they're talking shit about the right. You know what I mean?
Sure. That's kind of how you got into your thing with that page last night.
Yes. You know? So that takes us to last night.
Yeah.
So we solved homelessness already. All right. We need a national homeless initiative that looks at the whole thing as a big picture. Not only that, man. If you're getting federal funding for homelessness, okay, you can. Obviously, there's many different ways you can do it, but you can create facilities across your state that have housing, dorm type housing,
right,
that has a medical clinic there, that has job training, that has drug treatment. That's all within these grounds. You're free to come and go if you want. You just can't. Now that you have housing, you have shelter. Now it's illegal to pitch a tent on the sidewalk. Okay, you can't be out there asleep on the sidewalk. But when
it would have already been fixed that way. Yeah.
But now when a cop comes up and says, "Hey man, it's illegal for you to be here on the sidewalk," they don't grab all your shit and throw it in a trash can and put handcuffs on you and take you in because you're breaking the law sleeping on the sidewalk. Maybe you have, and that's where the whole defund the police talk comes in, you know, which we've talked about being kind of a funky way of talking about it. But that's one of these things where you could have
a little chunk of that, the, you know, cleanup squad goes to services.
You could have a, you know, homeless services, you know, patrol that goes around and finds this person's trying to pitch a tent here. Hey, buddy, you can't do that. It's against the law. But hey, we got a room for you at this place. And on your way there, what's going on, man? How'd you get in this situation? Did you, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you got sick. Oh, you got an injury. You never got that taken care of. No, you don't have insurance. Okay. And you get the ball rolling and getting this person back on their feet.
Right.
And what happens in that person is that little tiny flicker of light at the end of the tunnel starts flicking. You know what I mean? There's people don't understand, man. It's like, oh, fucking, you know, a piece of shit just wants to sit around and get high all day. Yeah, some of them do. Some of them do. Some of them just want to be high and they don't give a fuck. Yeah. And they'll be high every day.
And that's no different from a lot of people who aren't homeless.
Okay, but a lot of them are just in a fucking hole and have no way to get out. And if you are sitting on a beach in Venice, California, and you're in a hole and you have no way to get out and you're 23 years old and you just feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, taking a hit from that joint or taking a hit from that pipe or whatever, it don't seem like that bad of an idea. You know what I mean? So I understand that, man, to a certain degree. It's hard for people to see that when they see a homeless person sitting on the ground, you know what I mean, with their hand out like this. It's hard to see or try to even take a minor look at what could have gotten that guy there, or even ask the question, "What's up, man? How'd you wind up out here?" You know how many times I do that a day, man, and have conversations with these people?
Yeah, but that's also ties into your job. You have an interaction You know what I mean? Where they're relying on you too. Most people don't have to have the interactions, or they avoid it.
Yes.
Especially scaled on the level that it's at in LA.
Or
you're
there, or you're there in your house, and he's there on your fucking sidewalk, and your attitude toward him is just like, hey, get the fuck off my sidewalk, piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you got to understand too that these people, more often than not, 95% of the day, they're hearing that from everybody that's walking around. That's not a homeless person with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a guy, Dave Waite, does this joke, this comic about the Nextdoor app, and talking about like back home in Kentucky, they're on the Nextdoor app. You know, hey, I think this guy's been parked in front of my house for like 2 hours. I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah.
And he's like, parked? He's like, there's a guy who's been living in front of my house, dude. He's got a living room set up out there.
Yeah.
You know
fucking driving over here on Venice Boulevard over by La Brea, man. This guy, it was a shanty, but he had a full door. Like he found a door frame in an alley somewhere. He had a full door.
Yeah, there's a guy that lives on 8th.
It was in a triangular
in La Brea.
Like, island right there.
That's
and
where
he
he
had
lives, dude.
That's where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, it's.
Oh yeah, the guy on Venice Boulevard. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like a whole structure.
It's a whole structure, dude.
Yeah,
he's got a frame and everything.
He can handle a storm.
But you know, just because somebody's homeless doesn't mean they're hopeless. You know what I mean? Like there are people who, if given the opportunity, could pull themselves out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're getting very pastor vibes right now. Like you could be like a youth pastor.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
The necktie showing too.
Who knows, man? Maybe
the glasses and everything.
Maybe I'll run for
homeless
something one
is
day.
not hopeless. They want to pick up that joint, that pipe. You know what I'm saying? It was cool, man.
Thank you, appreciate
that.
I
mean, go out for those rolls. I'm saying, bro.
But it takes me to last night. So last night, if you're not from LA, there's this homeless encampment in Echo Park. For whatever reason, last night, LAPD decided it was time to clear that homeless encampment. I'm sure that it is probably a point of contention for the neighbors in that area. I know that in Venice, there are a couple of encampments right next to neighborhoods where it's a constant struggle trying to get rid of these people out of their neighborhood. Okay.
Right.
As much as you want to be on the homeless side, and like I just said, I talk to homeless all the time. I know plenty of good people. I've met plenty of good people that I wish nothing but the best that are homeless. Okay. All that being said, I don't want a homeless encampment outside of my house or on the corner of my house. Okay. Right. As much as you want to glamorize being nice to these people and everything, which is fine. I do it every single day. There is fucked upness that goes along with having a homeless encampment. Mm-hmm. There's drugs, there's needles, there's just people that are high around, you know what I mean? Just like talking, your kids are walking by and they're just there asking you what's wrong with that guy. Yeah. They'll start fires. They'll start warming fires at night just to keep warm. But that fire gets your ivy going on the fence of your yard. And next thing you know, your tree's going.
Lights up their RV.
There's all kinds of shit that happens in these homeless encampments. And
it does happen. You know, the circumstances that get them there, you know, your heart goes out for it.
It happens all the time, man.
But yeah, it's real.
It's not a good thing to have a homeless encampment in a neighborhood, period. It's just not, man. There are areas that could work and they could do their thing there and not be bothered. But most importantly, the people around could be safe, not have to worry about their kids and stuff like that. Yeah. Park
those are all
like that
up.
in Echo Park. If the encampment's getting too big and trash cans are overflowing and stuff like that, there's a lot of bad shit that needs to be taken care of when that happens. So we get to
this point there, like you're saying, you have the perspective of the homeowners around there. They've hit up their councilman.
Yes.
Sprang into action. So they announced they're going to do this sweep, right? They're going to renovate the park, fix up the lake. And to do so, they've got to remove all the tents, remove all the people, put a big fence around it so they can't come back. I noticed that happened now on Rose.
Yes. Yeah. That was months ago they did
Penmar.
Yes.
Because off of next to Penmar Park, there was a big encampment just along the street.
Yeah.
That's been cleared out and fenced over, and now no one's come back for what it seems. It's been months, you say, huh?
It's great. Months.
Okay.
Months.
So the same idea they're trying to apply.
But hold on. Before moving on from there, Rose that you're talking about, understand that this is alongside a golf course in Mar Vista, right across the street, multi-million-dollar homes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful homes, okay? Mm-hmm. An entire length of a golf course essentially got taken over by the homeless on that side of the street, okay?
Yeah.
We're talking about what, a mile?
No, it's not a mile. It's like an eighth of a mile, maybe.
No, it's longer than that, dude. Quarter mile.
Sixth? I don't know.
Anyway,
Between
let's
a
say
quarter,
it's a quarter
and
mile.
eighth, all right?
Okay, of nothing but tents and trash and homeless and trash, garbage, everything down the side of Penmark Golf Course. Okay, that's what we're talking about when we say
of a couple blocks.
That's what we're talking about. No, it's longer than that, dude. It's long. Go drive it. It's long. That's what we're talking about when we're saying encampments, okay? I'm not talking about 1 or 2 or 3 homeless. I'm not talking about Joe, the homeless guy that stays in the corner in your alley that you take a sandwich to every once in a while.
Very big encampment either. I would say that was like a medium-sized encampment to some of the encampments in here.
The length of the golf course. Anyway, and then it turned and was that whole area at the foot of it, too.
Yeah, there's like
it's a whole area in there.
A ditch.
It's terrible, man.
Yeah.
That's a whole neighborhood right there.
Yeah.
Okay? The amount of drugs and needles and overdoses and little fucking rubbish fires and stuff that we had in there, it's ridiculous, dude. If I lived there, I'd be furious.
Yeah.
I'd be furious.
Yeah.
That is allowed to happen when there's solutions out there, right?
Mm-hmm. But solutions, that aren't being met.
So
they try to do that in Echo Park, right? But right now, 2021, it's been a year of pandemic. LA now, the activist part of LA is very active.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They have been activated.
I mean, really
and they were
across...
activated this week for this cause.
Yes.
And they kind of been like waiting, bubbling for something because there hasn't been anything in LA to rally around and do and do this kind of thing for, right? So the timing was right for the people who already were waiting to post something. Yo, we gotta go, stand by our houseless neighbors in Echo Park. And they showed up, dude. What was it, like 200 people, 250 people?
A lot of people, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The cops are there, and when you get 250 people protesting and screaming at cops, and there's already an underlying contempt for PD, right? Obviously, that's just out there in the air. So when that happens, the tension rises. The LAPD obviously doesn't want to get injured and stuff like that. They have protocols they have to follow when they have 250 people that are, protesting. So then they get riot gear. People see riot gear. Oh, why are you in riot gear? We're not riot. You know what I mean? And tensions rise,
Everything cranks up.
Until it boils over, right? That's how the shit fucking happens.
And it all gets caught on camera, and then all that footage gets used for its own means, depending on where you're looking.
Right. So that's kind of where last night comes in. I follow, like we said before, we're left leaning. You guys listen to the show, we're left leaning. So I follow all the left activists and Sean King, and there's a couple of pages and stuff on Instagram that I follow that post all that left leaning activists content. I'm flipping through Twitter and I see some random person says something about, I just heard, and this is the other night, right? I just heard on the scanner LAPD talking about lighting the crowd on fire. And then somebody else in the replies to that says, I just heard the same thing. Unbelievable pigs and all. And then it was just a whole slew of fuck the police shit, right?
Takes off.
And I turn to my wife, I turn to Bernie, and I go, the fuck? I go, there is no way that LAPD said this on the radio. There's no fucking way. Okay. Now.
And that it would be on the scanner from a helicopter.
Keep in mind that I understand that all my understanding of PD comes from 18 years of working alongside PD. Obviously, I work for the fire department. I also feel like we have a unique viewpoint because I was hassled by the PD when I was in high school, man. I drove an El Camino. I had tattoos. I wore wife beaters around. I got hassled by the crash units. Every Wednesday night, I got my shit tossed around by the cops. Okay, and got treated like shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So
other towns too.
So I come from that, but I've also worked around cops and great cops with the LAPD and been through some shit with some great cops also. Okay. I'm not fucking blind. I see what's going on in the world. I see what's going on across the country. I'm also educated. I know about history. I know how the prison system started. I know where policing started. I know the history of all that stuff, right?
Smart.
So I understand that we're in a big city too, and a more liberal, Southern California is obviously a more liberal area and stuff like that. So my experience with the police here might not be the same as some podunk town, wherever the fuck, in the Midwest somewhere. Okay. racism and stuff like that is obviously a lot more deep-seated in police in the southern states, obviously, okay? All that being said, I seeing as how I see all of the like the far left stuff, but then I also see all the conservative stuff because Fox, OAN, all that shit is on at the fire station all day, and I hear people talking about all that stuff.
I was gonna say, like, Southern California is probably split.
I get all those conversations, man, and I get into them with people that I work with and stuff like that, and we have good conversations with the shit. So when I see stuff like that as I'm scrolling or flipping through, that's just way the fuck that I know ain't fucking true, and it's coming from the left. It trips me out, and it makes me think how much shit out there is a distortion of reality. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing. Like how there's QAnon, there's Blue Anon.
So essentially, then I'm flipping through Instagram this morning, or late last night, and one of these pages that I followed that posts smart, thoughtful stuff posted this clip. And they had the audio recording of it. Okay, so it was a clip, like a night vision clip of these two helicopters hovering. And you could hear the recording, and it was made to seem like the two helicopters were talking to each other. Basically, one pilot says, I wish they still had the fuel dumps on these helicopters. And the other pilot goes, yeah, I'd dump it all over Glendale Boulevard right now. Yeah. And the other pilot goes, yeah, I'll bring the match. Okay.
Right.
But the caption was, LAPD pilots talk about burning protesters alive. Mm-hmm. And this whole thing about, I want to believe there's good cops, but when you hear cops talking like this, you wonder what's in their heart and all this stuff, right? Yeah. The whole time I'm reading this.
Which would be valid if that was...
If those were cops talking like that, okay? Yeah. When I heard the audio, I knew 1,000%. There's no fucking way those were LAPD cops. There's no way that they would be casually talking like that on the radio. Okay?
And that it was heard over the scanner.
Yes. There's no way it would happen. Okay. It's like I told this guy. So I sent him a message. I said, listen, because in the comments, obviously, because then I saw Sean King, who's an activist on the left, fairly well known, posted the same thing. And all his comments were fuck the police, pigs, and all this stuff. Right. And so on both pages, I posted, listen, I've worked for the LAFD for 18 years.
He's a guy that uses that stuff too.
Yes.
Works on outrage.
I go, listen, and that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Is it's happening on both sides, man.
Oh, yeah.
I said, listen, I've been working for the LAFD for 18 years, all right? I can say with full confidence that I've never heard an LAPD officer talk like that on the radio, ever. Okay. Now, granted, I don't listen to the LAPD radio all the time, but I've never heard an LAPD. And as far as the LAFD is concerned, and we kind of mimic each other, if anyone was caught saying anything like that on the radio, we would be in trouble. They're able to identify whose radio was pushed to send out that message. You would be in so much trouble the second you did that. The most bigoted, racist, shitty person on the job would not say something like that on the radio because they know they're going to get in trouble. And if they did slip up and let it out, the other guy sure as fuck isn't going to answer him all casually. He's going to go, whoa, bro, whoa.
There are no odds that you're going to find two dipshits
it's not going to happen.
To each other.
Okay, so I said that basically in a comment to both pages. And to this guy's credit, he said, hey, I'm going to look into it. And then he asked me and then LAPD put out a statement about it, essentially saying the same thing. Hey, we had an internal investigation. We went through all of our communications with the helicopter pilots. We can definitively say it was not our pilots. And then they talked about how the helicopters are hovering. LAPD helicopters never hover and stuff like that. And it's all true.
Right. Yes, sir.
So to me, someone who is exposed to that stuff and knows a little bit about it, it's complete bullshit. But now looking back at those two pages, hundreds of thousands of views. The Sean King's
that's how it always works.
Post had hundreds of thousands of comments on it and shit. So it was just interesting to me, man, how it all had, just like you said, how those same tactics, there's some truth to the people on the right and conservatives saying fake news over here and fake news over here. It's kind of fucking everywhere. Everything's twisted 100%. And distorted, man. So you have to take...
It's an easy way to make money, dude, because you get outrage and you capitalize on the outrage.
It's an easy way to make money for them, and it's a really cheap way to make like rage for yourself. You know what I mean? Not taking a little bit of time to educate yourself on shit and just putting blind trust in these organizations that are feeding you bullshit.
They're all into it, dude. Like and you do like a change.org. You get those petitions, right?
Oh yeah.
And this seems like a great petition and shit. And so you give money and then you get the emails from them and then you see they're also doing the exact same thing for the other side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man. They're like, pitch in to overturn the election.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Pitch in to get rid of these illegals.
Yeah.
You know, they don't give a shit, dude.
It's whatever you choose to be outraged about, you can find an outlet for that rage. You know what I mean?
Somebody, who wants to get some money from you for that.
And yeah, man, it's funny though too, man, because since we're on since we're on cops, I have friends that are LAPD, right?
Guys we grew up with.
So
Partners.
I have a couple that are like Insta famous, right? Mm-hmm. Really popular on social media, have large followings. One in particular, I won't say who they are, post things. Now, this is a good person with a smart head on their shoulders who I have quality back and forth. Obviously, they're a cop. They lean a lot more right. They're thin blue line, all that stuff.
Yeah,
but a good person, family person, kids. Mm-hmm. Give you the shirt off their back. And good conversations about this stuff. But sometimes they post things like when a situation comes up, like who was the guy, and I feel bad not remembering his name, but the guy that was shot in the back in St. Louis as he was trying to get in the car, and the cop like shot him in the back 6 times or something like that, and he didn't wind up dying initially. I can't think of who it was, man. One of the ones this summer that everyone was.
Oh, was this year?
It was this past summer that everyone was protesting about, and I apologize for not having the name offhand. I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but when that happened, okay, this person who is a cop posted, this person had a warrant for domestic violence. Okay, he was there at his accuser's house, and I've worked with domestic violence survivors for many years. We have to believe survivors.
Oh, was it in Wisconsin? Jacob Blake? That guy?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah.
I believe so.
Because that's what they said right away, that he was like
St. Louis?
getting a knife out of his car
yes,
or something,
that guy,
right?
That guy,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And that was her post about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And to me, it was like, okay, you're a cop. I can see where you're coming from. You're looking at it from the cop's point of view. Well, you're showing up on scene, and this guy has a warrant for domestic violence. Somebody said he has a knife. You know, you're on edge. This guy, in your mind, this guy's a piece of shit. You know, he's got a wife beater on. He's not listening to your authority, so he's got no respect for authority. And I can see how your brain could have formed to the position of thinking that posting that, talking about what he had a warrant for, might make somebody feel better about him getting the reasons he was shot in the back 6 times, right?
Walking away. Yeah.
And so a lot of times I just forget about these and I just let them go because they've got, tens of thousands of followers and they all think that way. And I'm just opening a can of worms with that. But when I have somebody who is a smart person who I feel like has good conversations, I offer that kernel of a conversation and see if they want to go with it. And sometimes we have these great conversations about events like this, right?
Right.
So I said that. I go, listen, do you feel like this is furthering your cause as a cop? Okay, because essentially what you're saying here is whatever this guy is accused of doing justifies the chance that I could have shot him 6 times in the back. When in reality, your job as a cop is to bring this person in to face a judge or a jury of his peers, to face the charges he's been accused of. He's not guilty of anything. Your job wasn't there to go and subdue. Your job wasn't there to go and shoot. Your job was there to go and bring the guy in.
Yeah, but what they'll view as furthering their job as a cop is sticking together.
Right. But what I'm saying is you coming out and addressing it as, well, this guy was a piece of shit. This guy was accused of domestic violence. This guy had a knife in here. You're roundabout without saying it. You're roundabout justifying the reasons he was shot in the back, right?
Totally. That's what they all do.
That feeds and doing something like that and putting a post like that, right, feeds the animosity of the other side. It feeds their contempt for you.
Yeah.
Even though what you're saying in general makes sense from your point of view, right?
Right.
It's so subconscious, though. It's so like...
Not really, dude. It's pretty overt. And it's kind of like how they do that with everything, man. Anybody who gets killed in those situations, you always hear about what they had in their system, or that they had a record. You know what I mean? They're always looking for some bullshit on.
But that's kind of my point. It's like before it wasn't a big deal, but when you have pages that have like such a reach, like a page like these, or these couple that post shit like that,
yeah,
those memes and stuff like that get out.
Oh, yeah.
The posts themselves get out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets to a point where they don't even know where the thing started from, and it just feeds into this side's contempt to this side, and then this side just continue where. As a cop, in my opinion, you shouldn't be allowed to post anything about anything like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't.
But to them, that's how they're getting their message out there. Who's going to hear our side of the story? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like,
and there's the whole world online that exists for that.
But that's kind of what I'm saying is like that post right there paints cops in general in a bad light. And this person that posted it, I don't think sees that. I don't even think to this day understands exactly what I'm saying when I say that.
It's for other cops. You know what I'm saying? And they don't see it in a bad light. They're like, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not like the lens she's viewing it through. Because she's a cop too, and what she's looking through. I said she. You were saying they.
Yeah.
They are a cop.
Yeah,
and
man, it's
they could be, view everything they're looking at is through that.
It's just another thing that feeds into that animosity and that anger. You know what I mean? That I feel like police departments as a whole, because of the volatility of attitudes toward police and the way society is right now and stuff like that, it would serve the profession of policing to not allow employees to post anything like that on social media as part of your job. I mean, and
I'm sure the departments agree, like the brass would agree, but the people who are rank and file officers, that falls into like this whole shit about like cancel culture and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a whole like rallying point for those people is just to, no, don't infringe on my right to talk shit, even if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there was all conversation about that too, man, and censoring and Twitter with Trump and stuff. And people saying, where's the limit? Like where do you cut off censorship and stuff like that? And it's just like, I don't know, man. That's a big conversation and a big question because it affects literally fucking shit that's said just spreads like wildfire. And it doesn't even matter if it's true, man. It doesn't even matter if it's true or if it's even close to being true.
Yep.
And so
you would think that only dummies would believe something, and it's like, oh wait, we just had to explain something to our mom.
Yes.
That was like should have been completely obvious. You know what I mean?
And the scary thing for me is the realization that it's happening all over from all sides.
And by that I meant that our mom is smart and should be able to like pick up on shit that's super fake. You know what I'm saying? But it's out there, and people buy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, the typical regular person out there in the world just thinks that the other side is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like anybody who's really takes a step back and understands and sees the whole big picture can see that both sides are fucking crazy, man. You know what I mean? Like that nothing is really operating the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with, obviously I don't agree with fucking damn near most everything that happened over the past 4 years, but I don't agree with the shit that's happening right now either. I don't agree with the way we're dealing with things right now. And that's kind of how I wind up ending all my conversations with guys at the station, man. It's just like, I'm not a left or a right guy, really, man. I'm just like a do shit the right way kind of guy,
Yep. I just want fairness. Yeah. It's easy enough.
What else, man?
But we were going back to what happened last night. So,
oh yeah,
the helicopter thing turns out to be bullshit.
Turns out to be bullshit.
Yeah. And the guy, the page retracted it, right?
I don't know if he took it down or not. We had a little back and forth, and
really,
and he asked for the statement, where he could find the LAPD statement, and I gave it to him. And he said I got it, and I haven't checked it again. I've been busy today, but he was receptive. Whatever, as long as the dude's receptive to it. If you take it down or you don't take it down, it doesn't fucking matter. 300,000 people saw it already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's spread all over to all the other pages and stuff. So he takes it down. There's 100 other pages that still have it up. But that was kind of the point, man. It's just you guys all have to be aware of what you're fucking feeding yourself, right? You're like everything that you put in your body is important, man. The food, but also the information, and totally. do your own fucking research and don't make up your own mind about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, and don't be surprised if people are trying to take advantage of just what's a shitty situation all around, because that's what happened last night. Basically, it sucks that people have to get cleared out. It sucks that they have to be there to begin with, that they have to get cleared out, that they have to lose their shit. You know what I mean? It sucks that people got arrested trying to stick up for them.
It does suck, man.
It sucks that the cops had to be there, all the resources had to be used on that.
And listen, man, I guarantee you that the cops don't want to be in that position.
Right.
They don't want to be there listening to, they don't want to be there doing that. They don't want to fucking forcefully remove people from anywhere. They don't want to fucking do that shit. Trust me, man, if the homeless are not bothering anyone and they're there and stuff like that, the cops don't want to bother with them. They're only there because the people around there wanted to made a fuss, like you said.
Right. And that's what it is. Like everybody, all sides involved feel like they're right and that this is the only solution to this problem that exists now for them. Not the grand scheme of things, homelessness in general, but the park.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I thought
everybody knows
example.
that there's a better strategy and a better way that's not being used, and people just accept it as though, all right, well, fuck it, that can't happen. We got to do something.
Yeah.
And so we get to here, and it's like these fucking like little mini riots in the city are fucking dumb, basically, and none of it has to get to that. But also, nobody's totally wrong.
The biggest hurdle to taking care of the homeless,
kind of
the biggest hurdle to taking care of the homeless situation is people don't want to give their money to the homeless. I mean, that's really ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah.
If you're a city councilman or you're a fucking congressman or something, you're really excited about helping the homeless. You're not going to find a lot of friends. You're not with as far as money is concerned. You know what I mean? You're not going to find as many people willing to get your back to throw money at that. That's a situation that needs money.
Yep.
Right.
Because that's another unique thing too with homelessness in America. Homelessness. I mean, there's different ways that you can get there, but people's view in their head is like, you did it.
Oh yeah, man.
Bro, like you wound up there. You know what I'm saying? And that's on you.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
How about the single mom whose dad brought home the bacon and they have 4 kids? I'm sorry, married couple, they have 4 kids. Mom's a stay-at-home mom, and dad has a heart attack and dies. And she hasn't worked in 20 years. Right. She has no new skills. Everything's computers now, but the kids, and so she goes on assistance and she gets cancer or something like that. She doesn't have jobs, so she doesn't have health care. That's how people, that shit happens. Right. The majority of people who are in that situation or on welfare or homeless or couch surfing and shit like that are in that type of situation.
Yeah.
The complete bum drug addict on the street, that's a small fraction of the homeless population.
So
I've got real quick.
Yeah.
I got one other thing, because
full circle thing.
I remember one other example of a post. Right, this was just the other day, which got me thinking about it. It was a photo of a gun, like a AR style gun, right? And there's a handgun with it, and it was painted Nerf colors, like blue and orange, and with the Nerf logo on it. Okay, it was confiscated in a raid in South Central or something, and they posted it and said, "Think about this the next time you hear of an officer shooting someone with a toy gun." That was the post. And my thought to that was like, okay, I see what you're saying. People are pieces of shit. They'll paint their real gun like a Nerf gun so that the cop thinks it's a Nerf gun and doesn't shoot, and then they get shot and killed.
Right.
I see what you're saying. I get where you're going. But you don't also see how that makes it look like, hey, you know all the kids and people that we shot that were just playing in their front yard? Yeah, well, this is why. So it's okay because this is why. That's the feeling I got from the post. You know what I mean? And to me, it's like, I know you're a good person. I know you're a good cop. I know you're not a piece of shit like the cops that are being protested against here, because they do exist.
Right.
But you are not helping yourself with these posts that you're putting out. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not serving yourself at all by putting these things out. You're not making yourself or cops look good by saying this particular thing.
Yeah. But again, man, it's not for us.
Yeah, man.
It's for them.
It's a trip, but it leads right back to what I said. It's just something that shouldn't be able to be put out there, because it just adds another straw onto the pile of straws that is the animosity between, cops and whoever the fuck you want to put them against,
Yeah. And that's how we got to here. Like you're saying. So to sum it up here, homelessness, national issue, doesn't get dealt with as such. Everybody gets dumped into LA. There's numerous encampments that are like Echo Park, but to clean up Echo Park, to deal with the people that aren't homeless in that community as well, they banded together to stand up for the people that were homeless or getting cleared out. And then you have the situation that we had last night where it's like a little riot again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That won't happen in every other encampment in LA because it doesn't have the surrounding community that's going to come through and stick up. They try. Sometimes I'll make the same announcements, but the actual Echo Park, and I'm not even saying like people were just there like to hang out and party or some shit too. But there's just like more of a draw to come to that specifically. You know what I'm saying? Than to come to like under the 405 and Venice Boulevard. Yeah. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit. And that's how it goes. So like you were saying, money is not plentiful to help this problem. And the solutions that could be met weren't met, even with federal money that was available. Because that's what a lot of people that were saying at the protest, that FEMA has agreed to cover hotel costs for, housing homeless people in hotels during the pandemic. Yeah. And LA is not doing it. You know what I mean? But it's not like LA is going to really like force every hotel, hey, take all these homeless people. We're going to pay you. The hotels aren't always, down to do it as well. They tried. A lot of them did. And they did try a lot of things to place people during COVID. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things. Yeah, but there's not enough because there's like a literal like giant city's worth, a good sized city's worth of homeless people that live in our giant city.
And it's just not a solution. Yeah. It's not a sustainable solution.
So going back to why it doesn't get handled at a national level, because for you to like acknowledge homelessness and why it exists, then you have to acknowledge capitalism. The problems of capitalism, and the government ain't going to do that shit.
The whole thing is,
you know what I'm
saying? Our entire world is run by little games that men play because they don't want to acknowledge the truth, man. That's it.
Yeah.
There is a better way to do all of this, and we just won't do it because we've always done it the other way, and there's too much money involved in keeping it that way.
Exactly.
And you can say that for a handful of different industries.
So in the meantime, it's easier to distract you with, fake videos of helicopters talking shit.
Yeah, man. And also because everything goes hand in hand. When you start talking in depth about homelessness, you got to talk about the minimum wage also. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, everything is connected to everything else.
Exactly.
It's a massive undertaking to repair what's wrong, and very few people have the balls or the strength to push aside the money that would be thrown at them to actually tackle all this shit, man. It's heartbreaking to watch.
A lot of people sit and think about it and decide to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, man.
Good show.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah. And right you were worried.
Huh? No, yeah, because we've had some discussion on what we should talk about on shows when we're just talking about us and like what the people want.
Yeah.
From their PRC. Talk to us about what the people want from your PRC. This is your show too.
Yeah, email us. Email us
contact
at
PRC.
Contact PRC.
At gmail.com. Where can they find you, sir?
Danny Gonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
Follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben9Humor, like benign tumor on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And now PRC at PRC Podcast on TikTok.
TikTok.
All right. You want to see us dance? Get up on there and follow us, friends.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no times.